Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night here in Midtown Manhattan. We are right here at the Stephen Schwartzman building, the New York Public Library, here on West 41st Street and 5th Avenue. And today we are going to be talking about cybersecurity, more specifically ransomware as a service. Over the past couple years, we've been seeing major and massive cybersecurity attacks, not only across private businesses in the enterprise space, but now creeping into the government sector as well when we think about state and local government and even to the federal level. So we're going to be talking about the concept of ransomware as a service, what we can do to protect ourselves from this, and if we see a new cyber war coming across the horizon. So I see Soho guys here. Maya says good evening, Tom. Mario House says good evening. Vinny Castellano is here. What's up, Vinny Castellano? Good to see you. Hope everybody's doing well. NNB045 says good evening, Tom. Hope you had a great day at work. I did. Andrew Lee is here from Queens. William Creech says good night, everybody. What's up, William Creech? Hope everybody's well. So it may be a short stream tonight because my battery is extremely low on a couple key items here. Steve Rowe is here. Marilyn Ringel says hello from the famous Murray Hill. What is up, Marilyn? I hope you're well. William Creech, Sally is here. So the overall major equity indices got hit yet again today. We saw high beta growth stocks selling off in relatively heavy volume. So we'll see how this plays out going into the later part of the week. Tomorrow is a very important day, which we've been talking about for quite some time. Wednesday at 2 p.m., the Federal Reserve ends its much anticipated meeting at 2 o'clock. We'll get some insights in regards to the taper talk. We will see if the Federal Reserve is going to cut back on their asset purchases. And we'll also find out and get a little bit of a foresight into whether they are going to raise interest rates for 2022. Charlie Richardson is here. Hey, Grant is here. What's up, Grant? Charlie Richardson says very interesting and important topic. What is up, Charlie? Marilyn Ringel says the reminder just came out, so more people will join. Savvy is here. Valentina says hi, Tom. Hope you're having a great day. I am. Elon Musk is here. Michael. What's up, Michael? Good to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Savvy says good night, everyone. It's a beautiful night out here in New York. Not too hot, not too cold. Perfect night to sort of get a quick walk around. But Grant is joining us from New Zealand. Good to see you as always, Grant. And I believe Grant owns a radio station in New Zealand, so it was kind of cool to check that out, Grant. So thank you for sharing that with us. Crypto Mafia says good evening. What's up, everybody? Crypto Mafia, happy Tuesday. Almost the middle of the week as we are here on 5th Avenue. First says hello, Tom. What's going on, everybody? Fred T says hi. What's up, Fred? Good to see you. Good to see you. So everybody, for tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity in general, but then we're going to get more specific in talking about ransomware as a service. And now I guess I'll preface this by saying we usually talk about software as a service in a positive light, but I just want to be very clear. Ransomware as a service is definitely not a positive thing. And it's a very scary thing that's going on. And I think that if we think back just 6 years ago, from a federal government level, the federal government has really led cybersecurity attacks and hacks, really has led only state and local governments to deal with them. But what we're seeing now is this has essentially become a national security threat, and many big cybersecurity industry experts have been warning about this ad nauseum. But of course, governments are usually slower to market than the private sector is. And we've seen this as of late in some really recent and most notable cybersecurity attacks and hacks that has come about. Most notably, one that I would say is Colonial Pipeline. So Colonial Pipeline is one of the largest, or if not the largest, pipelines in the entire United States. And hackers were able to entirely shut that down, which led, for at least a short time, oil shortages to the entire East Coast. Hey, Tom Jones says, howdy from Fort Worth. What's up? What's going on, Tom Jones? Crypto Mafia says, World Economic Forum has been warning of a cyber pandemic. This is Crypto Mafia. JK says, pulled into majority cash positions. Cash is king. Ready for a possible pullback after Powell's speech. Hope you're well, JK. Hey, Ken Kramer says, hey, what's up, Ken? Yeah, Crypto Mafia says, biggest U.S. meat plant was also hacked earlier this year, I believe. Yes, they were. And also SolarWinds, that was another massive cybersecurity breach that had happened. So I think you're going to start to see more backing in terms of cybersecurity investment on the federal level, especially in the military environment. Hey, Flexstream is here. Cosmo Scary, what's going on? How are you? What's up, Cosmo? Hope you're well. Ah, Fernando's here. Very cool. What's up, Fernando? Michael Johnson says, our company got hit last year with ransomware. It changed the way the company handles all electronic media, says Michael. Yeah, so Michael, you make a good point. And one of the main ways that companies at a large scale get affected by these cybersecurity attacks is by something called emotet. And emotet are essentially phishing emails. And ever since the start of the COVID pandemic, we've been seeing an increasing amount of work from home, which creates a decentralized workforce. And in the cybersecurity industry, what we call that is endpoints. So the more endpoints you have, or the more tablets, phones, computers that are outside of a traditional company's organization and out in the field, that allows for more endpoints and more points of entry for these malicious malware to enter. Vinny Castellano says, our daughter worked at JBS, the major meatpacking plant that was attacked by cybersecurity. Yeah, so that was another notable one. So JBS, SolarWinds is a big one. And I think most notably, the Colonial Pipeline that was shut down. Hey, Sarah G, how are you? Yeah, so Sarah, you're absolutely 100% spot on. So I believe back in August of this year, the Biden administration actually created a task force, or a joint task force, that singles out and targets cybersecurity. And a lot of companies that we talk about a lot on the stream are actually a part of this task force. I believe one of which being Palo Alto Networks, and another one being CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike is one of the leading cybersecurity companies that is able to administer cybersecurity software over the cloud. Another one we like to think about is Zscaler. Hey, Sarah G says, I'm glad they did, it's needed. Yeah, I'm glad they did too. And as you guys know, I'm often very critical of the Biden administration, but I'm very fair and balanced, and I think this was the right thing to do. I think it was a very smart move by the Biden administration to create this sort of task force and coalition really focusing on cybersecurity, because one of the things that we can really think about in terms of a national security threat is, what if a foreign government or foreign nationals were to be able to gain access into our hospital system, gain access into the Department of Defense and things like that? This could be a pretty big mess on a massive scale. So it's not just, you know, like it was back 10 years ago with one-off cybersecurity criminals trying to extort $100 out of an individual user. This is gone on a mass scale now, and it's actually created a pretty big business model around it called ransomware as a service, which we'll talk about tonight. Hey, Jared Covey says, my local hospital was hacked last year. They had to go back to paper records. Yeah, so Jared, I think you're spot on, and it's pretty scary, right? It's pretty scary, but you know, I've been paying attention to the cybersecurity space pretty much ever since 2013, and a lot of these CEOs of these top cybersecurity companies have really been pounding the table and have been notifying state and local government officials about how we need to have national coalitions and task force and really take it as a national security measure. But of course, nobody listened. Hey, John Ellis was reading the log4j vulnerability will haunt the internet for years about the new cyber threat. Crypto Mafia says the power grid is also vulnerable. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's another one. You know, foreign nationals or governments
Did you see any NFL games?
Could lock down our power grid and things like that for sure. Coolon says, I'm a lot more worried about a cyber attack than a nuclear attack. I am too. I think I am too. I would say I am as well. JK says, remember Y2K? I actually don't remember it all that well. I think I was only like 4 or 5 years old. But essentially what ransomware as a service is, because if we take a step back and we think about who are the real culprits here in terms of these cybersecurity attacks, and they all tend to be groups of cyberpunks across the internet that get together and create different types of malware and try to corrupt either corporate networks or government networks. But now what they're doing is they're actually trying to monetize that in multiple different ways. One of which is called ransomware as a service, where let's say if you're a criminal but you're not that tech savvy, you're unable to code your own malware, what you can do is go on to one of these dark web websites. I believe one of the most prominent ones that I'm familiar with is called Black Matter. And they actually have pre-built and defined and proprietary platforms that they lease out to other criminals to then go on and carry out these cybersecurity hacks and attacks. And then once they get the ransom, whether it be a couple $1 million or whatever the amount is, they split the profit. So there's actually an entire business entity and organization that's now been sparked up around ransomware and cybersecurity. So really crazy. And I think that governments need to start taking it a lot more seriously, as well as businesses. Bernie Williams says, yeah, worked on Y2K and nothing happened. What's up, Bernie Williams? Hey, hello from Beijing. Welcome, everybody. Sarah G says, do you think the new decentralized internet will provide more security? I think the blockchain will help. Yeah, I think the blockchain will help. But if we're thinking about a decentralized in the context of remote work, that actually creates more endpoints. So in the cybersecurity sector, we consider those endpoints. So that could be mobile phones, they could be computers. And it was really a major problem right when COVID hit, because what happened is everybody automatically was forced to work remote, and not a lot of organizations were set up for that environment to do that in a proper way where their internal networks were protected. JK says Russia and China are huge spots for ransomware schemes. Obama's here. Roz999 says ever since we put sanctions on North Korea, they have the forefront of government-sponsored cyber hacks. They are getting their money any way they can. Very good point. What's up, Bernie Williams? Sarah G. Disney cast member. How are you? Hey, Andrew Calhoun. What's going on? Flex Stream says, are you near the shops at Columbus Circle? We are not. We are not. EBITDA says, haha, is ransomware as a service a real thing? Yeah, so it actually is. And that's the topic of tonight's stream. I didn't have enough time to program the article for context into the Nightbot. But this is actually a very, very real thing. And the only real dark web website that I'm familiar with where you could actually purchase malware from hackers is a website called Black Matter. And they essentially lease you the malware to encrypt other organizations, and then they set up a profit sharing model where, let's say if you can extort $10 million out of an organization or a government, the hacker group would actually get, let's say, 15% of that revenue share. So it's really crazy the sort of unethical business practice this has evolved. But as we know, everybody on this stream, we like to mainly focus on the financial standpoint of it. So whenever we're formulating an investment thesis, the main thing that I like to talk about is I like to invest into industries or sectors in massive growing total addressable markets, or TAMs, right? So I believe there was a statistic out of Gartner, which is a major research firm, that said cybersecurity spending in 2020 went up about 16%, and it's projected to grow at a double-digit pace into 2022 and 2023. So if we know that cybersecurity spending, not only in the public sector, so state and local governments and from the federal level, but it's also going to be growing in the private sector as well. So if you're a chief technology officer at a major tech company or a hospital or really anywhere, if you're not allocating at least 16% of your budget to cybersecurity solutions, and God forbid your organization gets hit with a cybersecurity attack, your job is probably going to be gone pretty quick. So I think this is a great opportunity, not only from an investing standpoint, but from a career trajectory as well. Hey, Peter Webley says 2 inches of rain here in LA today. Awesome. You guys definitely need the rain for sure. Andrew Calhoun, Obama's in the house. EBITDA, how are you guys? Marty Lewis says, good evening, everybody. What's up, Marty? Good to see you. Hope you're well. John L says, Ukraine has the world's best hackers. Russia needs them. Anthony says, any thoughts on Uber stock? No thoughts as of right now. I think a lot of the high beta stocks are in a downtrend, so unless we have a follow-through day, I think we'll be out of all of them. EBITDA says, Tom, what is your opinion on the rotation out of large cap tech? Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm hoping for, right? So I think what the market is trying to do is, number one, discount interest rates, because tomorrow the Federal Reserve's meeting concludes at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, I think, is going to come off as dovish as possible. He doesn't really want to spook the market. I think there's already been a lot of carnage in the very high beta growth stocks. And I would even argue that we are in a very, very severe bear market when it comes to growth. And I think this is fund managers and portfolio managers on Wall Street front running the Federal Reserve should they start to taper and raise interest rates. So what I would like to see going towards the end of the year is a rotation out of mega cap tech stocks like your Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, and back into growth, assuming we get some very positive news on the tapering tomorrow at 2 p.m. John L says, me thinks the market would welcome a small rate hike. Yeah, well, I think in 2015 they hiked, the Federal Reserve hiked the rate 3 or 4 times and the market was fine and actually started to kick off a new bull market. So we'll definitely have to play it by ear for sure. The Swan is here. How are you? NNB 045 says, why do hackers want payment in Bitcoin? So a lot of the times hackers will extort payment in various types of cryptocurrencies. And I think the number one reason for that is ease of use, right? So if I lock down a corporate entity's network or a local or state or local government's network, I'm not going to say, hey, could you mail me a check, right? I'm probably not going to say, or hey, can you send me your Venmo, right? Because, you know, that's probably not the best idea. But if you send everything in Bitcoin or some sort of other cryptocurrency, I believe the cryptocurrency of choice for hackers is Monero because of its anonymity. RJ says, yo, yo, what's up, RJ? Lady O is here. What's up, Lady O? Good to see you, as always. Virginia says, no snow in New York yet. No snow yet. JA says, I am a top PA I am in a top PhD program for statistics, previously worked in data science and tech. What's your advice if I want to be a quant after graduating? Should I be networking or focus on publications? So JA, are you talking about you want to work at as a quantitative researcher at, let's say, like a 2 Sigma, a Citadel, jump trading, DE Shar, something like that? Because quantitative researchers do tend to be the highest paid individuals on Wall Street. So JA says, yes, correct, quantitative researcher. So Jay, I would actually, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this guy, but he's a really, really smart individual. And he actually runs a YouTube channel as well. And his name is Joma Tech, Joma Tech. And I believe he was a former quantitative researcher at Citadel. And his brother was a former quantitative researcher at 2 Sigma. And his content really takes a deep dive into trying to get those types of jobs as quants on Wall Street. So I would defer you to that channel to get some resources. And I think EBITDA is in the chat and he could sort of attest to this. I would definitely focus on growing your network, right? I would focus on actively applying to apprenticeships or internships at these companies, especially if you want to work in New York. I actually used to work in the same building as DE Shaw right here in Midtown Manhattan. So I would definitely pour all of my energy into networking with people who work at these hedge funds that you want to work with right now. Proactively reach out to them and even ask, you know, maybe say, hey, message them on LinkedIn and see if you can spend 5 or 10 minutes with them, buy them a cup of coffee and network with them that way. Any way you can get your foot in the door and be social, I would definitely do that. But I think you know, you sound like a smart guy, so I don't think you'll have any problem getting into these institutions. So here we are outside of Macy's. Hey, P. Alexander says, I love New York. Alan Pickett says, hi, Tom. I hope you're doing great. Right back at you. EBITDA. Yeah, here we are. Here's EBITDA. It says, network and experiences are the biggest. Take as many internships as possible and network with alumni who are on Wall Street. LinkedIn is a game changer. I second that, EBITDA. And also, if you want to be a quantitative researcher, you know, I would start building things right now, right? So it's better to have experience on your resume to show recruiters that you're creative. So maybe you could, you know, start to build an algorithm that tracks different social media trends or something. It could be anything, right? And then when you're in that interview, you could walk them through that process of why you wanted to build these algorithms, why you sort of chose this data set to analyze, and sort of what the value you would bring. I would start doing some of those things. Hey, Great Walk says, hello from Argentina. How's it going? What's up, Great Walk? Daryl says, hello from Chicago, Illinois. What's going on? Dan Block says, EBITDA, make a YouTube with steps by step on how you can accomplish it. I agree. EBITDA says, yeah, if you have a portfolio of algos, that would be huge. Show and back test, etc. Agreed. Yeah, I think the main thing for a quantitative researcher they're looking for is creativity, right? How creative are you, right? Because I think the main thing in the hedge fund business, what they're looking for is, you know, if everybody is doing the same thing, like in the stock market, if everybody is looking at the same trade, in the industry, that's called crowdedness, right? That's called crowdedness. So you want to show them that you can be an extreme critical thinker, be extremely creative, and actually build algorithms and products and services to bring to their firm. So I would start doing things like that for sure. Hey, NYC Cherry Groove is here. What's going on? How are you? JK, good to see you. Otto is here. What's up, Otto? Lost in the Curve says, isn't some of the inflation due to everybody trying to make up for losses due to being shut down for so long? There could definitely be a backlog of demand. I could agree with that a little bit. Hey, Penelope's here. What's up, Penelope? Hope you're well. Good to see you. JK is quantitative researcher, mathematics, software engineering, and finance. Yeah, so a lot of quant shops on Wall Street actually go and recruit physics majors. Dust says, hey Tom, how are you? I'm doing very well, Dust. Good to see you. I see Charlie Richardson here. I see the Swan. JK says 6.8% inflation is insane. So that was the CPI print. It was insane. Charlie Richardson says being able to code and understand software at a deep level is a very powerful skill to have. I would definitely concur with that. Hey, Chris says, hey, what's up, Chris? Dan Block says, you can't get enough smart minds. Yeah, but I think, so everybody, EBITDA has been in the chat for quite some time, and he provides a lot of good perspective if you want to break into the world of investment banking. I believe EBITDA is currently an investment banking analyst or an associate at Bank of America Merrill Lynch, working on, or in the mergers and acquisitions department. So I think this channel in itself is a great opportunity to network with a lot of people who either work on Wall Street or work in tech. So I would just say continue to network. Hey, Ann Purse says, good evening. Great and relaxing streaming all the time. Thank you. Timothy McGlynn says, beautiful night. What's up, Timothy? Good to see you. Hope everybody had a good Tuesday. I see Santa Monica Rodriguez here. What's going on? J.A. says, thank you for the advice all. Just subbed, great community. EBITDA. Very cool. It says associate soon to be VP. Congrats, dude. That's awesome, man. That's awesome, EBITDA. Yeah, but JA, I would definitely check out. You know what I would also check out, JA? There's an application you can download on your phone called Blind. B-L-I-N-D. Blind. And that application is for a lot of people who work as senior software engineers at major FANG companies that are making the transition to be quantitative researchers at quant shops on Wall Street. So I would definitely download that application called Blind, B-L-I-N-D. That's going to be a great resource for you. But also check out that YouTube channel I was calling out earlier, Joma Tech. Very good one. Hey, I see photos from around New York here. Very cool. What's up, photos? Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. NNB045 says, Tom, your wish came true today. Mega cap stocks like Microsoft were down. Yeah. So I guess we just need to see some of this cash start pouring back into growth. Because I think there's two things that could happen, and I sort of outlined this in the Behind the Street newsletter, is we saw a very similar thing happen in 1987. So if anybody studies Paul Tudor Jones, who famously called the market crash of 1987, it all started with a very, very thinning of the market. So there's an industry terminology called breadth, and if there's a shortage of breadth in the market, that means only a handful of stocks are helping the indices reach new all-time record highs. The Empire State Building looks great tonight, guys. So I think what happens is if there's only too few stocks that are helping the indices push higher, if those stocks stop getting support, it's pretty much a free fall and you have a flash crash. Because if you look at the data, if we look at the NASDAQ, I believe only 20% of stocks are above their respective 200-day moving average, which is essentially an indicator to gauge long-term trend in the market. Hey, Roz999 says, love these views in New York City. It looks great on my 65-inch TV. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I wonder how the streams look on like a big TV like that. 65-inch. The Swan, it's good to see you. The Swan is joining us from Ireland. Good Good to see you, the Swan. Paul F says Action Kid is up by 59th. Hope you run into each other. Ah, very cool. Maybe we will. So we are here in Koreatown, one of my favorite places in the city. This is very close to Herald Square and Madison Square Garden. And this has one of the greatest views of the Empire State Building right here. Hey, 304 Riggs says it looks great on my big screen TV. Very cool. Marty Lewis says I watch on a 32-inch. Chat is on my MacBook. Very cool. So everybody, I'll read off a quick statistic here. So it says, according to Gartner, cybersecurity spending worldwide will increase 13% this year in 2021. And if we look out for the forecast of 2022 and 2023, it's expected to grow double digits to 12% per year. And that's on a global scale. So imagine if a company, like a mid-cap cybersecurity company like a Zscaler or a CrowdStrike or something like that, can just grasp maybe 1% of that new revenue share. You know, these stocks can go much, much higher. And especially if we think about a cybersecurity company like a Zscaler or a CrowdStrike, where they distribute the majority of their cybersecurity software over the cloud, so over a cloud infrastructure and not legacy hardware or legacy software. You know, the gross margins on that are insane. And as we like to talk about a lot when we're formulating an investment thesis, the number one thing we like to look for is the big macro picture, right? So what is the trend? We don't want to be investing into an industry that's in structural decline. We want to be identifying those industries within the economy, the overall market, that are projected to grow and expand. And I think cybersecurity is one of those industries. And being that the majority of these cybersecurity companies now operate on an as-a-service business model, you're going to see gross margins explode, I think, over the next 5 years. So I believe the main leader right now in the cybersecurity space is Fortinet. But I would definitely keep my eye on CrowdStrike and Zscaler, especially now that we are in a growth stock bear market. Hey, Talvish says, Wall Street Skate Bro, how are you tonight? I'm doing very good, Talvish. Hope you're well. Hope you had a great Tuesday. Alan says, Zscaler, $40 billion market cap. Rookie says, hello everyone watching on my TV. Looks great. Cybersecurity is the future. Sarah G says, I love listening, watching from my phone and laptop. Thank you, Sarah G. Bigfoot says, hello from Israel. Jerry says, looks great on my smartwatch. Very funny. Hilarious. Sarah G says, if you make your videos 360, it shows up in VR. Carolina Tom says, good Tuesday evening to you, buddy, watching on my 70-inch TV, and it looks amazing. Very cool, Carolina Tom. That's awesome. Lost in the Curve says, coders didn't check the cut and paste open source, and that is where hackers found many entryway, in my understanding. Yeah, so I think there's many ways they could penetrate a company's or a government's infrastructure. But one of the main ways that they can gain access into a corporate network is through something called EMITED. So EMITED essentially stands for phishing emails. And this has been prevalent over the past couple of years, and even more prevalent as we made our way through the COVID pandemic, because all of a sudden you had a shift overnight where employees were forced to work remote. And they were now not behind their company's legacy firewalls and things like that. So companies had to make the transition of distributing their cybersecurity software via the cloud. And that is very, very difficult. So a lot of the times you'll see phishing emails that look like it's coming from internally, or it'll look like an internal email. And when you click on the link, you're actually clicking on a corrupted file that has malware that now downloads malicious software onto your computer, thus corrupting your entire organization. And I think this is why you're seeing a rise of a particular aspect in cybersecurity called Identity and Access Management, so IAM. So if you think about a company like OKTA, what they do is they specialize in IAM cybersecurity, where it gains access to individual employees to only minor subsegments of the company infrastructure that they need to use. So before, in traditional firewalls, it was like, okay, everything behind that wall is safe. But zero trust, it doesn't work that way. The way zero trust technology works is, let's say if you're an account executive at an organization and you're a sales guy, you know, OKTA will only grant you access to specific applications within the company's total infrastructure. So if you get corrupted, it's the malicious software is not going to spread throughout the entire organization. EBITDA says, Tom, we had so much training when we started working remote. It was all cybersecurity, phishing, etc. Yeah, EBITDA, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. Bidzita Lopez says hello. What's up, Bidzita Lopez? Hope you're well. We are walking through Koreatown, headed downtown towards Madison Square Park. But I will like to forewarn everybody that we may have to end the stream early because I pretty much have no battery. So I just want to let everybody know. Norbert says hello. Greetings from Germany. Dean M is here. Bidzita Lopez. What's up, Dean? What's up, everybody? Cool Aunt 516 says, at work they used to send fake phishing emails to see if we caught them. Wow. Photos from around New York says someone got caught on a fake phishing email at my work and they had to take an online class. Yeah, that is the number one way organizations get corrupted, is by these Emotet phishing emails. And some of them look really real. Like I mean, these hackers do a really good job. I guess I shouldn't be saying that, but it's true. Hey, EBITDA says, I gotta run. Have a great rest of the week. Hey, thank you, EBITDA, and congratulations on your VP spot. That's awesome, man. We'll see you in the next one. We'll see you very soon. So check out this other crazy statistic, everybody. In 2020, hackers alone pulled in over $422 million in cryptocurrency payments. So this is essentially extortion, and this is up 344%, with the average ransomware payment being $139,739 in Q3 of 2021. And that's expected to double. Michael Johnson says, you're absolutely spot on, Tom. What's up, Michael Johnson? Good to see you as always. So if that is about to double, if there was a $422 million drawdown this year from hackers stealing from private entities and governments, what do you think that's going to be the next year? So from an investment standpoint, and I work in tech, so I talk to a lot of chief technology officers, especially in the healthcare space. Every single one of them is asking me about a go-to-market strategy or a deployment strategy for new cybersecurity solutions. Because could you imagine if there was a major cybersecurity incident on the watch of a chief technology officer? Let's say you get a job as a CTO of a company, and under your watch, there's a massive cybersecurity breach. Well, you're pretty much blackballed from the industry forever. So there's going to be a forced spending on these cybersecurity products, I think going well into 2030. And I know that may seem like a crazy timeline, but that's sort of what I'm preparing for. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. What's up, Sunshine After Rain? Hope you're well. Todd, Union Pacific says, Merry Christmas from Idaho. Merry Christmas. Natalie Hassan says, always great info and great videos here. Gotta go. Have a great night. Natalie, thank you. JK says, interesting, Tom. Go-to-market cybersecurity solutions for government healthcare. Very interesting. Sarah G says, offensive operations oftentimes is the sure set. Jerry says, major cybersecurity breach would mean Tesla goes back to dealer, says Jerry. What's up, Jerry? Good to see you. Ah, Sarah G says the best defense is good offense. So here's another great view of the Empire, guys. Check this out. The Empire looks beautiful tonight. Zerfino says, greetings from Houston, Texas. Welcome, everybody. John L says, get a battery pack. I know, I got to get a battery pack. But good to see you, John L. Hope everybody had a good Tuesday. Zerfino, how are you? Sunshine after rain. Jerry, the ABX girl is here. What's up, ABX girl? Dean M says, there needs to be more oversight over cryptocurrencies. I'm in compliance in fintech. Crypto and cyber criminals is like the new mafia-like operations. I think you make a good point. I think you make a good point, Dean. Andy the Obliviator says, Tom, my SQQ calls printed, but I close my position in the AM and ready for bullish continuation. I get no joy from other people losing money, says Andy the Obliviator. Very cool. Well, congrats on your gains. That's awesome. Lady O says maybe Santa will bring you a battery pack. We'll see. It's possible. It's very possible. But everybody, I didn't have enough time tonight to code into the Nightbot to make them drop the link for the article. But if you just Google Investors Business Daily ransomware as a service, I'm sure you can pull up the article. But if not, I'll leave it in the link in the description after the stream is concluded. But the main reason why I wanted to talk about this topic tonight is not only to bring about awareness and educate, but is on a two-factor level. Number one, obviously, which we covered today, an investing standpoint. But number two, from a career and development standpoint, especially if you were just coming out of college and you want to go into a sales role, if you can land an enterprise account executive job at a major cybersecurity company selling cybersecurity solutions, either to large Fortune 500 companies or maybe even the federal government, you're going to be doing really, really well, right? So you should always have your mind open to opportunities, looking for that expanding total addressable market, and try to avoid declining industries. I think that's the number one most important thing when thinking about a career is the industry I'm going into going to be expanding or declining? Ali Perez says, are you going to bring back the skateboarding thing? I will, but the past couple months have been very difficult for that because the economy's been opening up and I've been having to do a lot of business travel. And I also just recently bought a house in Miami, and I severely underestimated the amount of work that goes into moving, especially if you're doing it all by yourself. Alan Pickett says, any thoughts on Viva systems? Yeah, so Viva systems, a lot of people, especially in the medical field, didn't like Viva systems because I believe they're just like a CRM type deal that focuses in the medical space. But I'll have to check out their earnings and sales, but that's been an industry leader for quite some time. Hey, Edson says, hey guys, how's it going? Jessica says, good night. What's up, Jessica? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Talvich says, I see Action Kid in Midtown. Very cool. Lady O says, when are you flying back to Miami? I'm flying back to Miami bright and early tomorrow at about 10 o'clock in the morning. I will be back in Miami. Alan Pickett says, sounds good. 444 Truth Teller says, can you do a home tour? Maybe, I'll think about it. Maybe. Hey, Penelope says, but you have a tuxie cat helping. Very funny. Bonham says, moving is always an adventure. Indeed it is. But Penelope, good to see you. Bonham, good to see you. War Walker says, you'll get there, Tomcat. Did you stage the crib? So I did order some furniture and stuff like that, but it definitely is a lot of work for sure. Norbert says, good morning. In Germany, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. Make sure you get some sleep. He11 says, Tom, which cybersecurity stock have you or will you invest into? So I've owned CrowdStrike for quite some time, and I still have a position in CrowdStrike. But I think if you're looking at from an investment thesis, right? What I like to do is I like to look at industry. You have to look at the industry group and then whittle your way down. So what I would do is I would look at all of the cybersecurity stocks in the cybersecurity group and look for the relative strength out of all of those stocks, because there's only so much money that can go around. And I think that's the most important thing when we're talking about equity capital markets and capitalism. So in layman's terms, money will reward, or money will flow to those companies that deserve it, and money will flow away from companies that don't deserve the capital. So if you're a cybersecurity company and you're compounding out your annualized growth rate of at least 25% on a per annum basis, you know, you're probably going to have a significant amount of capital inflows to your stock, right? As opposed to if you're losing money on an EPS basis quarter over quarter, your stock's probably not going to be performing well. So I would make sure to stick with the industry leaders if you're thinking about making an investment. Look at this dog. That dog's awesome. Hey, Shay says, hi, Toms. Happy holiday and greetings from beautiful San Francisco. What's going on, everybody? Lima says, Merry Christmas. What's up, Lima? J.A. says, can you generalize the forced spending idea? The logic would be finding common downside risks to companies where a single individual would be on the hook. Are cyber threats the only thing like that? So J.A., I think when I'm talking about forced spending, right? Forced spending, I'm talking about more along the lines of a company, from company structure. Right, so let's say if you are a manufacturing business in the United States and all of your competitors are rolling out cybersecurity solutions to protect your corporate infrastructure, well, who do you think, you know, your clients are going to go to? Are they going to feel more comfortable, you know, manufacturing their products with an organization that they know that there's going to be no cybersecurity threats? Or do you think they're going to go somewhere, you know, where their, you know, where their blueprints could be exposed or whatever? I think you get the picture. So what this creates, it's almost like a must-have. So I think there's products in the economy that are nice to have, right? Like an iPhone is a nice to have, right? But a must-have is like an actual dedicated cybersecurity solution to protect corporate entities, to protect governments. So if you're a chief technology officer and you're trying to, oh, look at this dog, and you're trying to make a budget for next year about what you should spend on, you know, are you going to say, yeah, let's just give all of our employees brand new iPhones? Or are you going to say, let's allocate more of that capital towards increasing our cybersecurity presence to protect not only our employees, but also our customers? So that's sort of where my head's at as in terms of forced spending. And I think I draw that conclusion from just the standpoint that I talk to chief technology officers almost every day, right? So I don't deal in the cybersecurity space too much. I do sell some cybersecurity software, mainly in the MDM space, or mobile device management space. Company products I sell, like a Code Proof or a Scale Fusion, mainly on the endpoint security level. And every single chief technology officer I talk to is either in the process of creating or deploying cybersecurity tools right now. Hey, the Swan is here. Michelle Cunningham is here. What's up, Michelle? Dixon says, thanks for the stream, Tom. It's a good view. Don Ham says, pups are so much fun. I agree. Warwalker says, so cute. Elia Perez is ready for New Year's. I am definitely ready for New Year's. This building is one of my favorites too in New York City. EDM says, what's going on? Daniel says hello. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. Hassan B says, hey, Tom. What's up, Hassan? Good to see you. Walks with RR says, is jab mandatory for... I believe it is mandatory. War Walker says, I'm viable to help with your minor projects. I just quit the job today. Very cool. Michael says hello from Boulder, Colorado. What's up from Boulder, Colorado? British Gray. Hey, British Gray is joining us from Tampa, Florida. Dog. How is Tampa, Florida, British Gray? Hope everything is good. I'll give you guys another look at the Empire State Building. Jack says that building looks like the Custom House Tower in Boston. Yeah, Sarah G, isn't the clock tower beautiful? So Cool Aunt 516, I'm not sure what the exact building is called. Tony Evans says, is the new scan a go-karts, the thing you mentioned working on before? Could you retype that? Hey, Ferry says hello from Miami. Alan Pickett says, is Palantir a cybersecurity play? So Palantir, I believe, really only sells into the government. And Palantir was an extremely hyped IPO. And as you guys know, I will never buy an IPO in its first year on the public markets, mainly because, and we dedicated extreme to this, mainly because IPOs need to go through an institutional due diligence phase. So usually once a company goes public, all of the major financial firms and investment banks will assign an analyst to the company in which they will, you know, either recommend to the portfolio managers or the PMs at those specific companies to buy the stock or sell it. And usually that takes about 3 to 5 earnings reports. Hey, NJB is here. What's up, NJB? Good to see you. So we are in Madison Square Park now, everybody. Alaya Perez says, can you cruise down to Rockefeller Center skating rink? I think we were there yesterday. If we have time to go today, we definitely will, I promise. Marilyn Ringel says, I love the Chrysler building. William Wilson is here, says hello. What's up, William Wilson? Good to see you. NJB, what is up? Jack says, that building looks like the Custom House Tower in Boston. I think I read that one. Cheryl is here. What's up, Cheryl? Says, hi, Tom. Good to see you, Cheryl. So this is 23rd Street outside the Flatiron building. Lady O says, what time is your train tonight? I think it's around 11:30, Lady O. EDM says, do you eat apples during Christmas? Sometimes. Phelon Musk says, what do you think about Elon Musk said about AI? So I think overall he's probably correct about artificial intelligence. I think a lot of people severely underestimate AI. But if anybody's interested in learning more about artificial intelligence and machine learning, I would definitely read a book by Kai-Fu Lee. And Kai-Fu Lee was the former CEO of Google China, former CEO of Google China, or excuse me, former president, I should say, of Google China. And now he runs a venture capital firm that only AI companies. Sarah G says, Elon was setting up for his Neuralink. Hey, Thiago's here from Sao Paulo, Brazil. David says, Brandon, hopefully Jenner doesn't know. All right. Marilyn Ringel says, have you been to Brookfield Place? I don't think I have. Ice is here. What's up, Ice? William Wilson, good to see you. Daryl says, Action Kid is at Saks Fifth Avenue right now, Tom. Maybe we'll run into him. Who knows? Jared says, are cybersecurity insurance premiums on the rise? Jared, I'm so glad you asked about that. I'm so glad you asked about that, because that is one of the main points of the topic of discussion tonight on the stream, is that insurance companies, exactly what Jared said, insurance companies are raising the premiums, or jacking the premiums on cybersecurity insurance through the roof, and that is also another bull thesis for cybersecurity stocks, because let's just put it like this. You know, I just bought a house in Florida, and if I don't have hurricane-proof windows, my insurance premium will be significantly higher than if I put them in. But if I put in hurricane proof shutters or hurricane proof windows, my insurance premium will be significantly reduced. So what I think you're going to see over the next coming years are insurance companies provide specific criteria, and I think they'll go as far as to say, hey, look, we're not going to insure your business unless... Ooh, I think the gimbal died. So we'll stay on for a couple more minutes. But I think you're going to see cybersecurity companies or cybersecurity insurance companies say, we're not going to insure your business unless you have some sort of cybersecurity product and you can prove that. So I think exactly what you said, Jared, is 100% correct. It's going to get, I think it's going to get really, really interesting over the next couple of years. Oh, EDGM says, my city is freezing now in China. Wow. Marilyn Ringel says, readers beware, I am getting scam mail saying I bought a program from Norton. It's a scam. Yeah, so I'm actually getting the same emails, and I'm getting a lot more egregious emails to my YouTube email address. NYC Cherry Groove says, insurance agents assist homeowners like getting an alarm. Wholesaler Gar says, Christian Standard. All right. Andrew Calhoun says, considering just what happened, will it matter having strong windows? Yeah, so Andrew, I think you're referring to the big tornadoes that happened. Boone Adams says, good evening, how are you? British Grace says, good evening, sunshine after rain. David says, what time zone is your zone? Eastern Standard Time. We are right here in New York City. Tony Evans says, there was a news story about where you scan your groceries and pay at the cart. I was wondering if that was the project you mentioned earlier. I'm not sure, but are you referring to the brand new sort of Amazon Go stores? Essentially, what you do is you just have your phone on you the entire time, and then you just grab what you need and walk out, and it automatically charges your account. Kalmesh says, how is everybody? What's going on? Obama says, art insurance is hard to get sometimes as well. Sally says, beautiful night, Tom. EDGM says, your streets are very clean. Our streets in China are very dirty. War Walker, what's going on? Yeah, Lady, the battery did die, so I think we'll stay on for a couple more minutes. Alan Pickett says, is cybersecurity software proprietary? I think much of it is. Yes, NNB045 says, spam texts are annoying too. So did anybody see the news that came out? And I think it was so surprising because Elizabeth Warren actually gave the thumbs up on this, but debt collectors are now allowed to message you on Facebook to collect debts. So they're allowed to message you on Facebook. They're allowed to do a bunch of crazy things, which I think is egregious. I don't think debt collectors should be allowed to message you on social media in order to collect debts, especially now that we have all of these different cybersecurity threats going on, because now that opens up an entire window for different malicious actors to pose as debt collectors and start mailing people on Facebook, on Instagram to collect debts. So I think that's a horrible thing that they just did. Alan Pickett, thank you. Hey, Sparkle says, wow, I can't believe people can share their own art online. David says, later, buddy, from the West Coast in Australia. Have a good evening. Thank you. So let's see here. So I think we have to, we'll end it here. End the stream because the gimbal did die. So I think it's going to be very, very blurry when we're walking around. Penelope says, insurance is a racket. It's socialism, but necessary. But yeah, I think I think it was Jared that said that in the chat, that insurance premiums are going to go up like crazy. Cherry Groove says, Tom, please leave your mortgage payment in the chat. Hilarious. Liz WG says, will you do streams in other boroughs? We probably will do streams in other boroughs when it comes time, but I'm usually working in Manhattan, so it's easier for me to stream in Manhattan at night. So I'll just do a quick recap and then we'll call it a day here. But essentially, ransomware as a service, it enables less tech-savvy cybercriminals to engage in attacks without actually developing any of their own malware. So people can actually buy malware and other extortion tools from the dark web, from criminal gangs or cyber criminal gangs. The main dark websites where you can actually buy these products are from DarkSide, Revil, and Black Matter. And what happens is these gangs solicit ransomware as a service to really anybody. So let's say you're not smart enough, you don't have the coding skills, and you really can't develop your own malware yourself. Well, you can go on the dark web, you could lease their software, and then all you have to do is just share a portion of your gains or the ransom. So what we were talking about today is the bull thesis for cybersecurity stocks going forward off the back of increased cybersecurity demand. But yeah, I don't have a gimbal now, guys, so the road may be bumpy, so I think I'm just gonna end it. Or else is Fortinet or Palo Alto Networks. I think Fortinet is the leader right now, but I would definitely look into Zscaler and CrowdStrike going down the pike. Let's see if this works, guys. You guys will let me know. Does this work? You think this is too annoying? Yeah, I may get the train early tonight. I think I could actually make it home early. We'll see. Jerry says ransomware as a service. You have better margin than Yogurtland. Jeez. Running at altitudes works just fine. Are you sure it's not too blurry, guys? Hey, VS is Zero Trust Exchange platform from Zscaler. Yeah, so Zero Trust is a subsegment of cybersecurity that I think is going to be growing in popularity, because if we think about, so let's think about Zero Trust, and let's also think about identity and access management. So let's think about cybersecurity back in the old semantic days where, you know, you put up a firewall and anything behind the firewall was considered safe. Well, now with Zero Trust and identity and access management, let's say if you're in the sales department of the organization, you'll have like a single sign-on platform from like an OKTA or something like that, where you're only granted access to parts of the internal organization where you need access. So God forbid you get corrupted or anything like that. God forbid, you know, your internal networks get corrupted. At least they only infect only one part of the organization and not the vast majority. Dan Block says it's blurry. Okay, I'll end it here, guys, but I'll probably see you tomorrow. But tomorrow I will probably be downtown in the Brickell area of Miami. Phyllis, what's going on? RL is the Globe. What is that? I'm not sure. Let's check it out. All right, we'll check out the Globe and then we'll call it a night, everybody. But for anybody that hasn't, if you want to sign up for the free financial newsletter Behind the Street, if you type exclamation point news, NEWS, in the chat, it'll drop a link to the Behind the Street newsletter where we cover finance and tech every single week. Hey, Shot by Scott is here. What's up, Shot by Scott? So I think this is some sort of Netflix show. Let's see if we can go in here. I think it's called The Witcher. Very cool. Has anybody seen this show on Netflix, The Witcher? Hey, Jimmy Anderson is here. What's up, Jimmy Anderson? Homer says, looks like a nice night. Indeed it is. Shot by Scott says, safe travels, Tom. Bring some cold weather back with you. Hey, Scott, so I'll be back in Miami tomorrow. Jerry says, BTS is popular in Korea. Indeed it is. So here's the Empire State Building here. And then over here is Madison Square Park. Phyllis says, I've tried to get the newsletter 3 times and no luck. What I think you need to do is it's going to send you an email and then you need to confirm that email. Sarah G says, great newsletter. I am looking forward to the next stream after the Fed meeting. Indeed. War Walker says it's going to be chilly tomorrow. So I think when I start walking though, it may be a little bit blurry because I don't have the gimbal, but we'll see. It's your fault, says, what is your job? I am in tech sales. So I sell multiple different technology products to large enterprises. So you could think about Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies. Alan Pickett, I think tomorrow is going to be really telling. So at 2 o'clock, you can expect a lot of volatility in the market. But I will give you guys one little piece of advice here. Usually when the Fed reports its minutes, which we are going to be hearing tomorrow, usually the first move, be it down or up, is always the wrong move. So once the Federal Reserve starts talking and signals to the market if they're going to taper or raise interest rates, if the market has an initial move down, it usually means you should get long the market. But if the market has an initial move high, that usually means it'll probably end the day lower. So just a little bit of an interesting thing there. Hey, Twisted BTW says, I was there in late June this year. I love New York City. That's awesome, man. Hopefully you can come back very, very soon. War Walker says he always gets my comments wrong. RL says, warm down there in Florida. Indeed it is. Pink Curb says, what board do you have? I just ride a regular 8.5 inch deck, but Pink Curb, we are going to have the skateboard back very soon. I just need to settle in here. EDGM says, are you busy in the bar street at night? In the second tier cities in China, the bar streets are very lively at night, all of which are young, beautiful, and many live broadcasts. Yeah, so a lot of activity here. Alan Pickett says, yes, not too worried about interest rates. Vinny Castellano says, enjoy the rest of your evening, Tom. See you next time. Thank you, Vinny. Appreciate you. Well, I think, and this is what we've been talking about a lot in the channel, I think by and large, the Federal Reserve has been, I don't really want to say doing a good job, because I really don't think they've been doing a good job, but I think the market by and large, so I think all of the money managers on Wall Street and even some retail investors have been. And what I mean by that is, over the past month, and I would even argue since February, you've had a lot of these very high beta growth stocks, mainly in the tech sector, that have been selling off hard. So you have PE ratios come down, you have multiples that are coming down, which is a good thing, which I think will be setting us up for a pretty nice rally in growth should the selling stop. So we talked about in the Behind the Street newsletter that I think we will see a rotation out of mega cap tech stocks and back into growth assuming we hear very dovish action from the Federal Reserve. Hey, Twisted BTW says, me and my family stayed on Roosevelt Island. Beautiful views from there, Graduate Hotel. I got some amazing photos. That's awesome. Alan Pickett says, great buying opportunity. Yeah, so Alan, I think it could be a great buying opportunity, but I think at this point in time in the market, it could go both ways. And what I mean by that is, if we crack the lows, especially in the IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000, if we crack the lows of this base that we're in, things can unwind pretty fast. But if we start to, maybe make a little bit of a shakeout and continue higher, and money starts to flow back into growth, well, then I think we're back in gear. But I do not think that's going to happen until the next cycle of earnings reports. So what I think is, Wall Street is waiting for a lot of these high beta growth stocks to report their next cycle of earnings to see what the forward guidance is going to be. Because a lot of the times when a company reports earnings, the most important metric to look for is not what they reported this quarter. Oftentimes what's most important is their forward guidance or their outlook. Because if we think about what the stock market is, the stock market is a leading indicator. The stock market really is a discounting mechanism into the future, right? So a lot of the times there'll be more weighting or more precedented put on forward guidance. RL says, do you use stops during the volatile Fed day? So I don't really usually do any short-term trading. I'm usually a very large position size trader. And I usually tend to hold my positions for at least 8 to 18 months. That's what I sort of like to look for, because quite frankly, to be honest with you, I'm not good at short-term trading. What I have been pretty successful over the years is identifying companies that have explosive earnings growth in large total addressable markets that have extremely good moats, like an Alphabet or an Apple, and just buying and holding those particular companies. Hey, Monster Pig is here. It says, buy crypto. Yeah, so I do accumulate it and hold Bitcoin. I do not trade it. I just buy and hold cryptocurrency, mainly just Bitcoin and Ethereum, sort of as a hedge against the big monster debt bubble we have in America and globally. And if we want to whittle down even further, we could think about the massive derivatives bubble. But I think that'll be the topic of our Deutsche Bank stream. Monster Pig says hodl BTC. I agree with that. Hey, Jack says, Tom, do you think the build back better is a good or bad idea for the economy? So I think it's a bad idea, mainly because I know a lot of the money is going to get squandered. But it'll probably turbocharge and add a big boost to equities. Hey, Jane Lynn says, what time is it there? It is, I think it's about almost, what, 9:30? SRN says, hello again. Up on the Gold Coast, Australia for a holiday. Get out of Sydney. It has been locked down by other Australian states. Well, I hope things get better in Australia. DW says, crypto is a risk asset. Yeah, so you know what? I actually tend to agree with that on short-term time horizons, but I think on a long-term time horizon, I would still consider it a risk-off asset. But it is definitely very, very high beta for sure. Absolutely. Hey, coffee, travel, food, fashion. So I'm here till Thursday, going to hit up Leo's Bagels Any other recommendations for me? So Leo's Bagels, I used to go there every single day when I worked in Lower Manhattan on Wall Street. I worked for a tech company. I mean, when I say worked on Wall Street, I mean on the actual physical street. Leo's Bagels is the best. I would also check out an Italian restaurant called Becco, and I would go to Take 31, which is a very, very good Korean place here. Ian says, "Sup Tom at Costco shopping, what's the topic?" So Ian, we pretty much ended the topic for tonight so far, but we were talking about cybersecurity, more specifically ransomware as a service. But I think it was a good topic of discussion for tonight. We went through mainly the bull thesis for cybersecurity stocks in a growing total addressable market, but also a bull thesis for career opportunities too in the cybersecurity space, whether you want to be on the engineering side or whether you want to be on the sales side, maybe you want to be an account executive. Because what's been happening as of late, and even the military in the United States deemed this about a couple months ago, that cybersecurity is now 100% qualified as a national security threat. And I think that's true, because if we look at the Colonial Pipeline that was just hit by a massive cybersecurity attack, you know, that's critical American infrastructure. So I think you're going to have forced spending on cybersecurity, not only in the private sector, but the public sector. Yeah, Zscaler hit with a downgrade on Wall Street. Yeah, so that actually goes back to what we were talking about too. You know, these stocks, these very high growth stocks, tend to trade at premium valuations. So they have extreme multiples. So if you look at price to sales, price to earnings, and PE ratio, their PEs are in the hundreds. So I think that the market is front running. The market is front running the Fed and pricing in interest rates. So I think the market is saying, look, the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates. We need to start selling down these high beta growth stocks, because what happens is when you have interest rates going up, a lot of these software as a service stocks that trade at premium valuations predicated on earnings in the future, when interest rates go up, that means their earnings are now worth less. Their future earnings are now worth less now, if that makes sense. So their future earnings will be worth less. Hey, Sanjeev is here. So some really good restaurants in the area. What's up, Sanjeev? RL says, Santa. Homer says, remember folks, change your default passwords. Hey, Monster Pig says, Tom, where can I get really good pizza in New York City? So I would definitely try Prince Street Pizza. I really like Prince Street Pizza. But in my opinion, the greatest pizza spot in all the 5 boroughs is DeFara Pizza in Brooklyn, New York. The Rockstar IV says, Merry Christmas to all in advance. Thank you. 48 says, evening, Tom. Great to see you. Leonardo says, Curry the Major. DW says, hello from Brazil. Homer says, check out Nolita Pizza. DeFara, so D-I, DeFara Pizza in Brooklyn, New York. Hey, the Mighty Bull says, greetings, Tom. How are you tonight? I'm doing very good. Yeah, Andrew Calhoun, here's your limo right here, my friend. Hey, Sweet Dreams says, crypto is being introduced to control how you spend. I think that's a pretty interesting supposition. I wouldn't agree with it, but I think it's definitely worth exploring. I think a Federal Reserve currency, global reserve currency, I think would be used to control people. I do agree with that. Hey, Bruce Wayne says, Joe's Pizza. Sally says, beautiful view, Tom. Kamal says, hello from Uzbekistan. Very cool. Jane Lynn says, nice car. Leonardo says, thanks for the mention, bro. No problem, Leonardo. Good to see you. Dust says, Tom, thank you, Dust. Appreciate that. Hey, Elaine says, I'm practicing English listening to you. Very cool. So our gimbal went out of battery, everybody. So it may be a little bit blurry, the stream. But I guess, so every stream, we have a topic, and I like to turn it over to the audience. So if anybody works in any industry, it could be healthcare, it could be education, maybe you work for the federal government, or maybe you work in tech or something like that in manufacturing. Is there, and judging based upon the topic of tonight, of cybersecurity, have your organizations or anything internally at your organization, are they implementing cybersecurity software? Are they implementing more protocols? Because this is one of the best forms of market research we can offer, is just by doing feet on the street market research with each other. And if you've read the book One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, that's what he recommends all the time. He's like, you can do the market research yourself. Talk to people, talk to your coworkers, talk to your kids. What products and services are they using? So I guess I'll ask you guys, what cybersecurity solutions are you using in your life? DW says yes. Hey, Dust says, I want to live in New York too, my place to live in the future. Well, you should. I think you'd be more than welcome here. Penelope says, perfect for Twitch users. So funny. So I'll take you guys back to the Moynihan train station with me, and then we'll call it a night. Hey, Jack says, yes, we use utility. Jack says, yes, we are a utility. We use we are always beefing cyber. Very cool. Andrew Calhoun says, I am turning multi-factor authentication on everything in my office. This is Andrew Calhoun. JRath7 says phishing tests and other vulnerabilities. NYC Cherry Groove says the real estate industry are the hackers, but you can trust me. Ha! Cherry Groove, that's funny. Jax says Arctic Wolf. Ah, Penelope, very catchy there. Penelope says, I don't want to give that info out, security risk. I respect that, Penelope. Penelope, what's going on in Tennessee? I hope everything's good. Nag says, we use a company VPN working from home. So when I was working at my previous tech company, we used a Cisco product called Sarah for our VPN. Hey, Jordan LeBeau is here. What's up, Jordan? Good to see you. We just concluded our topic of the night. We were talking about cybersecurity and ransomware as a service. And the gimbal went out of battery, so we're just going to be walking, and it's going to be like a Twitch stream. Sarah G says, that's why I'm not saying either. So I guess we'll take that as a yes. Yes, RL says, donate to victims of the tornado. Horrible what happened. Really, really horrible. I mean, people lost everything. Yeah, Homer says, keeping your software up to date is a big help. The Mighty Bull says, got to get the replay, didn't get notified. Hey, Sarit says, hello there, Tom. Good to see you again. Good to see you too. Hope you're well. So if you're looking for a very, very good, fast, casual place to go in New York City, this place is probably one of the best. It's called Dig. It used to be called Dig In, but now it's called Dig, and it is very, very good. Sarah G says, I like that, a VPN company with my name. Twisted says, RL, there were some horrible tornadoes in Arkansas last week. We got some of it. We are okay, luckily. Thank God, that's good news. Candela says, were you born in New York? I was. Leonardo says, dude, are the movie recordings going around? I don't think so. I don't think so. Alan Pickett says, how does the government prevent themselves from cybersecurity attacks? Well, they buy cybersecurity software from a lot of the companies we were talking about tonight. Anthony says, does tech sales pay a good base compared to other roles? Oh, compared to other sales roles? Yeah, a lot higher. So if you're comparing, like, let's say car sales or something to tech sales, yeah, software sales, you're gonna get a really, really big base. So let's say if you get a job as like an enterprise account executive, a lot of the enterprise account executives could have like anywhere from $120,000 to $150,000 base, and that's only 60% of your total compensation. And that's if you are in enterprise sales. So enterprise sales is if you're selling into the large Fortune 500 or Fortune 50 companies in America, where these tend to be very large sales cycles or longer sales cycles. Yeah, Superstorm Sandy was a nightmare. Hey, Eric EDJ says you use Fortinet as well. Very cool. Sarah G says education, software techniques, etc. Obama says a lot of art was damaged in Superstorm Sandy. Good to see you, Obama. Hey, Laytha says, speaking of cybersecurity, had a problem online with PayPal, slightly over $1,000, who called unannounced and asked me to verify my account name and social security number. Wow. Yeah, you gotta watch out, Laytha. Homer says Netflix is filming a heist show in New York City right now based on Superstorm Sandy. That should be interesting. Hey, Craig is here. What's up, Craig? Yeah, so we could see the Empire State Building one more time before we go. Good to see you, Craig. Good to see you, EDGM. Hey, Craig says not too much, just relaxing. Ah, photos from around New York. Very cool. So here's the Empire State Building. I think this is actually a really good shot of it. Sally says, always good to see you. Tom, always good to see you too. Hey, Jared says, check out Virus Total. It's an antivirus aggregator. CrowdStrike and Fortnite contribute. I definitely will. I definitely will check that out.
And then the outline upgrade. The big
Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for saying that. Hey, Faith says, yes, very pretty. What's up, Faith? Good to see you. Says, what does the blue color symbolize? I'm not too sure what the blue color symbolizes. Hey, Joseph says, hi, Tom. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you. So we're just going to walk back to the Penn Station, the Moynihan train station tonight. It's going to be a shorter than expected stream. Jack says, when was the last time you were in the Empire State Building? So I think the last time I was technically in the Empire State Building was probably 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe not 2 weeks ago. I think maybe last month. I was getting a coffee in there at the Starbucks in the bottom of the Empire State Building with a client. But the last time I've actually been to the top of the Empire State Building is probably when I was a very, very young kid. Hey, Jay says the Empire State Building is blue to celebrate the NYCFC's first championship. Very cool. I didn't even know that. Ever since COVID, I just totally checked out. Dams Blocks says, sorry spell check, but that was funny. I did not know that. Ever since COVID, everybody, I've sort of just checked out of sports altogether. I know that's kind of sad to say, but I have. The Mighty Bulls is watching and listening to the chat. Godoy says hello from Argentina. Welcome. Andrew Calhoun says blue for soccer was on the 9th. Homer says blue tomorrow for diabetes. So everybody, I will give you a quick update now that I have you. What I think I'm going to do is every time I send out the Behind the Street newsletter, which I send out every single week for free to everybody, within the newsletter, within the Behind the Street newsletter, I'm actually going to have a link to a second YouTube channel that I will start where I break down the Behind the Street newsletter and do a whole market outlook on video, because not a lot of people have time to, let's say, read the newsletter or something like that. So I think if you can have an audio version, maybe it's easier for people to listen when, let's say, you're working out or commuting to work or something like that. So there will be a Behind the Street YouTube channel that will be doing the audio recordings of the Behind the Street newsletter and market analysis. So this is the Empire State Building from Koreatown. Hey, Jimmy Anderson says, hey brother, we're uploading another Beer and Bets podcast in 15 minutes on the channel. If anybody is looking for sports content, please support. Yeah, so Jimmy Anderson does have a pretty cool podcast called the Beer and Bets podcast. Please check him out. RL says you can set it up like a news channel with the Behind the Desk. Yeah, I think that's probably what we're gonna do. Charlie Richardson says great idea. Sarah G says that'll be great. Hey, Troy 1995 is here, everybody. He says, did you read the new Ray Dalio book? I did not. I'm sort of on like a little bit of a Ray Dalio boycott now, but we'll get into that on a later stream. Brad Scott says, I'm from Disneyland. So this is West 32nd Street in Korea Way, right at the start of Koreatown. But I'll quickly recap tonight's topic of conversation, and then we'll just do one lap around Koreatown, and then we will call it a night. So we were talking about ransomware as a service, and if we think about sort of COVID, if we sort of talk about COVID, it really expanded cybersecurity risks as a whole, because everybody is starting to work from home, and in industry terminology, that's called you're expanding the amount of endpoints that are vulnerable to cybersecurity hacks and attacks, as we're overlooking the Empire State Building here. So according to Gartner, cybersecurity spending worldwide will increase just this year alone 13%. But if we're talking about 2022 to 2023, it's expected to grow double digits to about 11% every single year. So ransomware as a service is essentially these big hacking organizations are now creating dedicated proprietary platforms, which they are soliciting on the dark web from websites like Black Matter and the like. where criminals that are less tech savvy, they can actually go on and purchase this software to carry out cybersecurity attacks by themselves and actually have a revenue share of a portion of the revenue that they acquire from the cybersecurity attacks. So it's pretty interesting. And there was a great Investors Business Daily article that just came out last week showcasing all of the risks of these ransomware attacks, where essentially they download very malicious malware to corrupt your personal and corporate files to use as extortion and the like. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can rewatch the beginning of the stream where we do a deep dive into a lot of the cybersecurity stocks we talk about. We talk about the expanding total addressable market of the cybersecurity industry. And lastly, we talk about cybersecurity from an employment standpoint. Do you want to work as a software engineer? Do you want to work in sales as an account executive? I think the opportunities are really endless in that growing industry. So that was the topic for tonight's stream. What's up, Brad Scott? Good to see you. We're approaching Herald Square near the Macy's, 34th Street. Alan says, a VPN from cybersecurity. Yeah, a virtual private network would be considered a form of security. Yeah, I know, Penelope, wouldn't that be funny? Ted says, do you ever smell weed walking? I do. Laytha, good to see you. Alexandria says, hey Tom, I guess you were in front of the Radisson Hotel. I was there 4 years ago with my parents. Very cool. Troy 1995 says, Tom provides New York live stream as a service. I guess we sort of do, don't we? Hey, Miguel says, good evening, Tom and staff. What is going on? I like that. I like that you say staff, Tom and staff. That's pretty cool. Hey, Realty by Lance says, Tom, really great info about Invitation Homes. Yes, Realty by Lance. So Realty by Lance, I did misspeak. I said Innovation Homes, but that is my dyslexia kicking in. But yeah, it is Invitation Homes we were talking about yesterday, Realty by Lance. And so for anybody who doesn't know, Realty by Lance is a real estate agent in Southern Florida. And the topic of last night's stream was the topic of institutional money managers or institutional investors on Wall Street. Should they be allowed to buy single-family homes en masse and rent them out to would-be buyers? Because as we know, the coronavirus pandemic has really put fire under this housing market. So if you put all of the factors together, such as extremely low supply and artificially low interest rates, it's creating an unbelievably tight housing market. And a lot of these institutional investors or real estate investment trusts, one being Invitation Homes. And Invitation Homes is a real estate investment trust that only specializes in renting out single family home buyers. And there was an amazing article in Investors Business Daily over the weekend. And if you want to read it, if you type !home, H-O-M-E, into the chat, the Nightbot will drop that link. Bob says housing prices in Florida are insane. Indeed they are. So Bob, I think one of the main arguments is, you know, should a BlackRock, should an Invitation Homes be able to go in and compete with retail home buyers or retail investors for these properties? Because if we think about what that means, if you're a very well-capitalized firm like KKR or Blackstone or something like that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to afford to overpay for a property and even come in and buy it with cash completely. And if you are a retail person like myself, maybe you don't have the money to pay for the house in cash, well, you're gonna have to get a mortgage, and you're probably only gonna be able to put maybe 10 or 20% down. So it creates almost like a monopoly where a lot of these single-family homes are being sold to institutional investors, but I don't think it affects the market as much as people think. I know, Elias, so frustrating. Alan says, money talks, free enterprise. Indeed. Adam Newman buys apartment in mass and sell those to the company. Realty by Lance says, yes, sir. Here to help anyone buying or selling in Florida. So Realty by Lance, what are you seeing in the Florida housing market? Are there a lot of people buying single-family homes with very good offers? Sort of what are you seeing? Is the inventory extremely low? And what is the market that you play in? Are you mainly selling condominiums? Homer says Zillow definitely did some damage in some communities. They purchased huge swaths of property in specific zip codes. Yeah, so Homer, I think you make a good point. So what Zillow did, and rightfully so, they got clocked and they had to take over a $360 million write-down. So they lost almost $500 million, Zillow, off of their failed iBuyer program. And what Zillow did is they were extremely greedy. So Zillow was trying to buy homes, do very minor renovations, and then put them right back on the market and sell them for a 20 to 30% markup. And obviously, I mean, anybody with the brain knew that wasn't going to work. But Zillow did it. They got greedy, and they had to take a massive loss. And they actually had to lay off a lot of employees in that iBuyer division. Hey, Ren says, hey, Tom, thanks for a great stream tonight. No problem, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Troy 1995 says Zillow sucks. Realty by Lance is, like you said, Tom, very low inventory. It's also a big challenge right now also. David says, thanks for your knowledge in the stream. No problem, David. Yeah, 25% of their staff they had to lay off. Really crazy. Damn says, Tom, you got to roll with pepper spray. Maybe. Hey, Valentina says, love the stream. Thank you. The Mighty Bull. Sally says, amazing, Tom. Thank you, Sally. Jerry says, Zillow proved that flipping on crack is not a good business model. I know. Eric says, there are other lives in New York City, so if you don't like it here, you can go there, says EIC. Sarah G says, I heard several times Zillow isn't right on the numbers, etc. I agree. Realty by Lance says there are multiple offers on each listing, and many offers are cash and well over asking price. Wow. That's really crazy. So, and this is what I've been saying. So I've been talking about this to a lot of my friends about the housing market, and everybody says the housing market is in a bubble. It's going to crash just like 2008. But I think the main difference this time is different this time. But if we look at the underwriting standpoint, right? The underwriting for a lot of these mortgages were absolutely egregious. not even checking any income verification, not checking credit history, not checking if people had a stable job, and they were just handing out mortgages essentially like hotcakes to anybody. And to top it all off, what you had is you didn't have a traditional fixed rate mortgage back then. Well, you did have them, but a lot of these bankers would coerce people into getting adjustable rate mortgages with teaser rates. So a teaser rate essentially is a very, very low mortgage rate for your first couple payments. And a lot of people were only planning on budgeting for their mortgage payment based upon those teaser rates. But once those teaser rates went away, their mortgage payments ballooned, and you had a massive wave of defaults all at once, flooding the inventory of the housing market and almost crashing the world economy. But right now, it's actually extremely difficult to get a loan. The underwriting processes are extremely strict. For me, I had to jump through hoops just to get approved, and I put over 25% down on the house, and they still almost wouldn't even give me the mortgage. Homer's arm should be criminal. Yeah, and then to top it all off, Wall Street used this as speculation. So they were collateralizing all these loans and essentially making derivative products on them and betting if people would pay off their mortgages or not. And these were called collateralized debt obligations. Bob's arms are okay for legit buyers. Good to see you, Bob. Does anybody know what time it is? Could we get a quick time check in the chat? Alan Pickett says, do you think we could eliminate real estate agents? I'm not sure. I think smart contracts, if we go down the rabbit hole of what a smart contract is, I think technically you probably could, down the road, eliminate a lot of things via smart contracts. So I think there was a basketball game here in Madison Square Garden, wasn't there? Bob says, why do you want to get rid of us? I don't. But I think disruption comes after everybody. Yeah, Warriors played there tonight, and I think Steph Curry broke a record for three-pointers or something like that. So congratulations to him. Yeah, Troy 1995 says Steph Curry broke the all-time three-point record, which is awesome. Congratulations to him. JK. But everybody, we are going to call it a night early. I do have to wake up to catch a flight, but I really do appreciate everybody joining. I think we've grown a pretty cool community here. So thank you, everybody, for your insight. Thank you for the conversation tonight. We had a very good conversation about cybersecurity. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. I'm flying back to Miami tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to stream. But if not, I'll be on Thursday. So JK, have a good one. Dan Block, Troy 1995. Realty by Lance, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you, my friend. Rookie Left Wing, DW, Sarah G, Sally, The Mighty Bull, Edwin, Alan, Realty by Lance, EBITDA, JK, Troy 1995, Bob, Twisted, XOXO Bob, Ian, RL, and everybody else who is joining tonight, all of our moderators, Cosmos, Scary, Sunshine After Rain, Miguel, Todd, and Obama, Gary, Charlie Richardson, thank you, everybody. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We usually do a live show 5 days a week, talking about finance, streaming all around New York City and Miami. If you want to sign up for the Behind the Street newsletter, you could do so by typing !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat and punching in your email address. And to the mighty bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'll see you guys in the next one.